week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Chris,
Lee,
and Danless.
we are Danless.
he's the glue that holds us together, man.
I know, we're going to completely fall apart tonight.
But anybody who listened last week will know that he's not here because he has gone back home for Christmas to see his dad.
Absolutely Chris Reed at home.
Chris,
Yeah.
he did. He actually said he Chris Reed at home.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did.
That thing of yours from last week, that is rapidly becoming a thing.
I know it is. It should do. It's fucking genius.
I want to get. I'm going to start the podcast with a bit of a request for people. If you are going home or to your parents' house or whatever, send us in pictures of you Chris rearing it home.
That is a fantastic idea.
It's ace, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just thought that then. I just thought we should just do it.
yeah,
Yeah, between now and the weekend, you've still got a few days to do it.
yeah. We want to see you go home.
No, the last people to say that weren't very pleasant.
And if you're really pretty, I'll watch you go home more often.
And he hasn't even been drinking yet. Should we do some news? Because there is some.
Yeah, let's talk about some Formula One things.
Yes.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, Felipe Massa could well be back.
He could well be back. There was...
5 million to come back to Williams for next season.
I'm calling it. This could be the most underwhelming Formula One return after retirement.
Well, he had the perfect goodbye in Brazil.
Yeah, he did.
With his flag on the back, walking down a closed pit lane. That would, to me, that would be not worth the 5 million return, to be quite honest with you. You know, when you're Felipe Massa and you've already got the money in the bank and you've promised your family you're going to stay with them for next year.
Well, he said he wants to keep racing, but he wanted to race competitively, and he seems to think that the Williams car for next year will be competitive.
Well, it would be nice.
I mean,
if
he only said he was going when it was blatantly obvious that Lance Stroll was coming in.
Yeah, well, I think that it was blatantly obvious that Lance Stroll was coming in. It was that also Williams made it ridiculously obvious before they'd signed either of their current drivers that they were on the hunt for Jenson Button as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, see that's a thing. Like, I mean, yeah, obviously Massa is within the team, but Williams would have give their fucking very best patter to Jenson to get him to sign for next year, and he would prefer to retire out of the sport than drive for Williams next year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can understand why they're picking Felipe, but is he really the best option?
I don't think so.
We've been through this and what's available, and the young drivers that are out there. Well, they can't have two young drivers.
No, you can't.
They can't have two young drivers. They need a driver who's got experience. And Claire Williams has openly admitted this week, since we last podded, that Bottas could well go to Mercedes as a replacement for Nico Rosberg. And so if that happens, Williams can't just sit there and wait till he goes before they make their move. Williams have to have a plan in place for if that happens. And I wouldn't at all be surprised to hear that, you know, as soon as Mercedes make an announcement, I believe Williams will follow up like within the hour.
Well, Claire Williams has said that they would be open to letting Bottas go if Massa would come back. That was a quote.
Which is fine, but in what universe is that a good idea for Williams?
It's not a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea.
It's a backward step, if you ask me.
Especially considering... You know what when they got Mercedes engines, they had that really forward push of momentum.
Yeah.
Williams had. They need to recreate that, and I genuinely believe them getting Paddy Lowe on board is a good step towards doing that.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with all these negotiations and people talking and you know, what we're going to do for next year, we're now in the week of the factory shutdown.
Yeah, and you've got Lance Stroll, which fair enough. However, he got to Formula One is happened now. He's there, so it's just time to wait and see what he can produce. But when you've got not just us, but credible Formula One journalists questioning why he's there, is he there for talent or is he there because of that massive check he brought into the team?
Well, he's European Formula 3 champion,
Yeah.
so
That's the thing. There's got to be some talent there because the FIA have increased the qualifying criteria
But I
to get a
believe-
super license.
I believe that there was a sort of chatter around that he got a good year in European Formula 3, where because the last few years, like Formula 1 elect has all won it and moved on to Formula 1,
yeah.
that he got a particularly weak talent window for the year he won it.
Yeah.
Which, there's always going to be people like that who come through the sport.
Well, if all the
and it does help that he's got all of the dollars behind him.
Yeah, if all the brides get through somewhere, eventually a bridesmaid's going to win something before the next crop of brides come through.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but again, like, no one knows what he's going to produce. We know what Felipe's going to produce, and I don't think it was okay last year when they had, like, they sort of had all their eggs in the Bottas basket. He wasn't really performing for them, to be perfectly honest.
No.
And now you've got Massa, who, I mean, is he going to, whatever drive and motivation he has, is he going to, now he's relaxed into the idea of him being, he's gone through all those emotions to leave the sport.
Yeah.
So do we really expect him to come back with any fucking spark?
You've got to say probably not, because
No, I think it'd be tough.
yeah, because I mean, his retirement tour effectively.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we accused him of phoning it in at certain stages last season.
Well, the
That's where he
top
said he
bottom
was
of
going.
this, and this sounds horrible, and it is horrible, but like if you talk about spark with Felipe Massa, he left his spark on one of fucking Barrichello's fucking dampening springs. So he's never been the same since then.
No.
He hasn't, and it might sound a little bit harsh, but he did have to sit out the rest of that 2009 season, didn't he? After he had that spring to the head, it was a horrible accident. He could have been killed. But
terrible. And, the year before he probably would have been.
Yeah, and he came back to race, and I don't know whether. He became very temperamental after that.
Yeah, I thought so. Very emotional.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's Formula 1 drivers are emotional most
Tell
of
it
the
to
time
Kimi.
anyway. Oh, no, I think he's an emotional person. He just doesn't want anyone to see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bois. Yeah, the bois says everything you
Yeah.
need to know.
But no, I mean, he did come back more emotional because of all the spats that he had with Lewis at the time, culminating in the "Don't touch me, man."
Yeah.
And on track, I don't know. You're right. He wasn't the same.
No.
And now he's coming. Now there's talk of him coming back after saying he's done, he's finished, he's retiring. It's probably, I don't know. It can do the job, but Williams need more than the job being done.
Yeah.
They need
a leader.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a leader. But then again, saying that, who else would they get? Because I'd have liked to see Alex Lynn get a drive, but like you say, you can't have two rookies in the team this year. I'd have liked to see De Resta.
Yeah, Paul De Resta.
Yeah, but again, we said last week, he's been out of the sport for a while, so he's not been in the loop. So again, that's a bit more of a gamble, because you might as well treat him as a rookie, because he's had 2 years in the sport and what, 3 out.
3 years out.
It was kind of him last year though, because he was driving the simulator.
Yeah, it's not the same though, is it?
No, it's only a simulation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because he didn't even do any free
I
practices.
don't think he physically actually got into a car. No.
So what other choices are there? And it's just the lack of available talent.
Do you know what? Wouldn't it be funny if Williams signed Massa, Williams released Bottas, and then Alonso managed to get out of his contract?
Ooh. Oh,
Things like that have happened to Formula 1 before. Look when Damon Hill was supposed to go to McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ended up in an Arrows.
Yeah, but he didn't fucking plan that, did he?
No.
He's just as well that the Arrows seat was there, though. Otherwise, he'd have been fucking Rosberged. He'd have ended up retiring as world champion.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, he might as well have done.
No, because then I wouldn't have seen him win in Belgium.
Oh, fair enough. What else have we got? Jos Capito at McLaren, but not anymore. 4 months.
4 months. I think the Italian Grand Prix was his first race as the head of, was it racing operations or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
And now, he was a Ron Dennis appointment, and now that Zach Brown is firmly in the seat and Ron Dennis is actually officially on gardening leave and is not allowed to have anything to do with McLaren, Jos Capito is kaput.
What is it with these people that leave massive teams and then instantly go for horticulture?
Gardening leave. Yeah.
Well, you can take a horticulture, but you can't make her enjoy
whoa.
the garden.
Be careful now.
I don't know where it was going, but I liked it.
Yeah, Ron Dennis is officially on gardening leave until the end of January, which is when his contract actually expires.
Ooh.
And yeah, it looks like Zach Brown has seen Capito as a Ron Dennis man, so he's decided no. He's still an employee, but he's no longer working day to day for the company.
So basically, he's being paid to sit at home and enjoy Christmas.
And his garden.
Yeah.
That didn't really work out all that well.
He didn't get to implement any of his ways of doing things, any of his thoughts and his ideas weren't. He wasn't there long enough to get those into the McLaren way of thinking. He quite a successful stint at the head of was it VW Motorsport he came from?
I think it was, yeah.
They had quite a successful stint there in World Rally and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate for Josh Head.
Yeah. Kind of unfortunate for McLaren as well, because that, according to the BBC, it makes the most senior person in the F1 team
Eric
Boulier. They need to get somebody else in.
Well, apparently, Boulier is highly regarded by Ron Dennis, and Boulier is also highly regarded by Zach Brown as a very astute businessman. But which is fine, but as a racing team
That's the thing,
director,
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, we know he can handle the business side of things because he made all the excuses for Lotus when they didn't have any money.
Yeah, that just makes him a good liar.
Yeah. Businessman? Liar?
Well, lawyer.
salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, talking of which, McLaren have got rid of the head of marketing as well, who has worked with Ron Dennis for the last 40 years.
What?
Ekram Sami.
Who works for McLaren now?
Eric Boulier.
Are McLaren going to turn up on the grid next year as Boulier Motorsport?
Boulier Racing with Jensen driving a... Yeah, there you go, Lee.
No, I don't want it anymore.
I also saw something quite interesting about McLaren in that was it Forbes, I think, did an article that said McLaren's shift from race team to road car manufacturer being taken seriously is now complete because they put 10,000 cars on the road now. There are 10,000 McLaren road cars out there.
So they are an official manufacturer.
Well, yeah. I mean, they I think it's 500. There
isn't that many.
But it's taken seriously now.
There's definitely not that many.
Because Rowan Atkinson's crashed one.
Yes, I'm just going to say Mr. Bean's had one.
So there's 9,999 McLarens on the road.
Hasn't JK done one in as well?
Possibly.
I think JK has owned every make and model of car ever and written one of them off.
Yeah. So. So there's an awful lot of McLarens on the road, and that was a Ron Dennis vision as well, wasn't it? The McLaren road car thing.
Yeah.
I wonder how. I mean, that McLaren is a company too involved to just go and pull the plug on their road car project. That's just not going to happen. But I wonder how this affects what goes into the Formula One team. Because do you remember way back in the day when I can't remember who it was that said it, but when they decided to make another car in like about 2008 or something like that, it was McLaren don't do well in Formula One seasons when they make a road car, and I think the car actually came out in like 2009, which was like one of the worst seasons in recent McLaren history.
Wow, it's interesting.
Yeah,
before the last two really bad seasons.
Yeah, and then 95. When I think the McLaren F1 came out. We don't talk about the 95 season for McLaren.
Wasn't that the year that fucking Hakkinen did himself in?
Yeah, well, 94 or 95, I can't remember. Yeah, end of 94 and possibly 95. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
he had that massive accident, didn't he, in Australia?
Yeah.
And there just happened to be a doctor there who knew how to get his airway clear.
Yeah, it was Sid Watkins.
Was it Sid who was it?
Yeah.
Who actually was just happened to be at the right place, right time?
Yeah, he was just watching at that corner.
Yeah.
Also, some of the most unclassy front pages of papers I can remember.
When Hakkinen had his accident.
Yeah, there was pretty graphic pictures of Hakkinen in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, no call for that.
Yeah, but talking about drivers who have accidents and don't come back quite like themselves, it didn't affect Mick Hakkinen too much, did it?
No, it didn't.
No.
See, I always feel that when Felipe Massa lost the World Championship, that the Ferrari was better than the McLaren.
That's easy to... you got to remember that year, 2008, Ferrari and McLaren pushed each other so hard that they were both pretty terrible in 2009.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying he had a guy that had one season under his belt, no other challenge. The guy which he was actually racing did his best to lose the fucking championship a couple of times, and he still didn't win it. It's the. I think if Felipe had won the championship that year, he would be one of the ones that was top of the list of who's the weakest world champion to ever win a world championship. In my eyes.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, possibly. Talking of weak, you've written a silly season.
Who else are we going to bash now?
Sauber.
Let's bash Sauber. Let's do some Sauber bashing.
See if they won a world championship, they'd be the weakest team.
Karl Wendlinger. Well, wasn't he one of the original Sauber drivers, Karl Wendlinger?
Yeah, I think he was.
I remember him. I don't know who.
Karl Wendlinger and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, I think, were the first two Sauber drivers when Sauber came to Sauber entered Formula One and brought in with them Mercedes.
Wouldn't Johnny Herbert have been before them?
No, Johnny Herbert was like 2000.
Frentzen, wouldn't he?
No, I think Frentzen started his career at Sauber, went back later.
I'm just looking this up actually.
Research on the fly. Welcome to Three Legs, Four Wheels.
Karl Wendlinger and JJ Leto.
JJ Leto, of course it was.
And then the following season, it was just absolute carnage because Karl Wendlinger started it, then went to prison for macing a London taxi driver.
Right.
Didn't he? No,
that was Bertrand Gachet.
Sorry, Karl Wendlinger had a crash in practice.
Tell you what, though, props.
Replaced with Andrea De Cesaris,
then.
who was then replaced by JJ Leto. And then the following season, Karl Wendlinger started the season and didn't finish it. Jean-Christophe Bouillon.
JC Bouillon,
yes.
Remember him? Yeah.
There's been some quality names through the years.
I might be getting Frentzen confused with Bouillon actually. It's that double-barreled first name.
Yeah, Frentzen came in Sauber's second season.
Oh, it's second season.
Yeah, when he partnered Wendlinger, De Cesaris, and Leto.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, not great, but there's still that seat free.
Yeah, but they have the history of putting too many drivers in one seat. Remember 2014?
How can we forget?
Guido van der Gaard turning up in the Sauber garage at the beginning of first practice. At least Adrian Sutil had the decency to stay away, even though he was under contract.
Was that 2014?
Yeah, 2 years ago. 3 years ago nearly.
Feels like it should have been this year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sauber's not been the best run team recently. And
might have been 2015, I can't remember.
I think it was 2015.
Yeah, 2015. We'll say 2015.
Yeah. We'll say recently. We haven't even had a drink tonight. This is bizarre.
No,
we will do the drunk podcast one of these days.
We will.
But who is going to be in the second seat? There are 4 drivers possibly in line for it. NASA with less sponsorship than last season.
Well, yeah, I mean, Felipe Nasr. It's like, so I think I said in the chat thread when I saw this yesterday, that it's like some sort of weird Formula One driver's eBay for a seat at Sauber.
Yeah.
Now Nasr has lost apparently a large portion of his Banco do Brasil backing. He's still backed by them if he gets a seat in Formula One, but not to the extent of the money that they were giving him for the last 2 years for driving Sauber, where they'd essentially just pay for their name plastered all over the car. and reliverying the car.
They'll sponsor the driver, not the team, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. We don't know exactly how much he's lost, but it seems to be a considerable amount.
Yeah. I also do apologise to Carl Vendlinger. He never actually did go to prison. He ended up in a coma after hitting the barrier in Monaco.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah.
Who was the one that went to prison then for?
Bertrand Gachot? Was that when Michael Schumacher made his debut?
Maybe instead of going to prison, he ended up as like an 80s or 70s detective.
Sounds like one.
Like Life on Mars?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Although he didn't.
He went back. Maybe he went back to the 70s as a Formula One driver.
By the sounds of it, he didn't solve the case.
No.
But Nasser, as we were saying.
Yeah, Felipe Nasser, he had the seat last season alongside, last 2 seasons alongside Marcus Ericsson. Now Ericsson's mates have bought the team, and Ericsson was confirmed before the end of the season as having one of the seats at Sauber. But there are 4 drivers bidding for that spare seat that's still going at Sauber. One of them, of course, being Felipe Nasser, who's could potentially lose his seat. I think one of the other 3 is former Sauber employee Esteban Gutierrez. Now, his potential route back into the team is that, well, I used to drive for you and I did all right, and I've also got that Ferrari connection as well, and you guys are having the Ferrari engines and I've used them already. So, and he's got Mexican money behind him too.
Yeah, it would Gutierrez would give them the continuity because he's obviously used to the 2016 Ferrari engine, which they're going to be using next year.
Don't forget, everybody seems to hate Gutierrez now because he's been a bit of a cunt.
Yeah. And that's the same as one of the other drivers who's gone for it.
Also, Ferrari seems to have lost faith in Gutierrez, and that's the big thing.
I think so. So Pascal Wehrlein was a possibility for the Sauber seat up until Rosberg decided to retire. Now, I haven't heard an awful lot more about it, but they have Mercedes money behind Pascal Wehrlein.
Would they put him in a Ferrari customer team?
They were just looking to put him somewhere in Formula One. I think it's most likely that Pascal Wehrlein will just stay at Manor.
I think he'll stay at Manor.
I don't think he's going to take that seat. The only way I can see him taking the seat at Mercedes is if they can get a driver, but they can't get him till next year. As in, once 2017 is finished. So they put Pascal on the car for a year and then dip him out again, but that will just destroy him. Completely. Yeah, K-Mag him, basically.
Yes, though I don't think he's shown any. He hasn't shown anything to stay there. Like he's qualifying is undoubtedly quick. He can throw a lap together. There is no fucking doubt about that. He's also really good off a start line because he made up loads of places.
Well, I think he overtook more than anybody else on first
start.
lap.
Yeah. But
he's got good single lap
races.
Yeah, he's got good single lap pace. Yeah, qualifying. Through to Q2 a few times in the manner, which was impossible before 2016 really.
But it's like you don't look. I know you're not going to see it because of what he's in, but his race pace just doesn't seem to. He doesn't seem to be the guy that if you stuck him in a good car, you go, he'd win races.
Well, that's the thing. And until Ocon came into the Manor team, he was sort of like the darling of the Manor team. Like, Pascal Wehrlein really, really, really doing really well in a car that's quite poor. And then Ocon came in. It was like, well, is he doing that well, or was just Haryanto just terrible?
Well, no. See, the thing is, I don't think he didn't blow the doors off Haryanto.
I think he outraced him something ridiculous, like. When both drivers finished a race, I think Haryanto finished ahead of him once.
Yeah, but that's fine. But Haryanto outqualified him a few times, and there was never a massive gap between them in qualifying. No. And even if Wehrlein was beating him in the race, Haryanto was behind him. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If he needed not to just be ahead of Haryanto, he needed to be 3 seconds down the road.
Yeah, so unless Mercedes, and it seems unlikely, but unless Mercedes are going to chuck a bucket load of money at Pascal Wehrlein going to Sauber, just in order to keep him in Formula One, then I don't see that happening either.
I think he'll stay at Manor, and he really needs a season.
Here's my favourite one, the fourth and last bidder for the seat.
We want this to happen.
We want this to happen more than anyone.
I think I know what this is.
It's Pastor Maldonado.
Yeah. Let's get him back. We need the Pastor Disaster Predictor back on the show.
He has been horrifically harsh about Renault's season. I don't know if anybody else saw this. He was interviewed by a South American website and said, I was ceremoniously kicked out of the world of F1, and once you're out, it's very difficult to go in through the front door, so you've got to find another avenue back in. However, I was pleased to see that Renault had a terrible season this year because they decided to ditch me.
He was he wasn't particularly magnanimous when it came to talk about Williams either when he left them, was he?
No, I mean, he's good at burning bridges, is Pastor. But he has...
Just good at breaking stuff.
Apparently, he has. If he can get a seat, he has that backing still of all of that money from Venezuela.
I'm sure he does.
The oil money and the Venezuelan government still say they're able to put the large sum of money that he was pumping into the Lotus team into another. If he goes too Sauber, they can pump that money in.
Yeah, apparently it's new sponsorship that he's got because it's not PDVSA.
Did he break his old one?
It's oil sponsorship though, isn't it?
It's Venezuelan oil, but it's not Venezuelan government oil.
Ah, okay, because I understood it that the Venezuelan government and oil company were backing him.
No, it's not. He's not saying who or where.
This sounds like some sort of TV fucking oil porn advert now. There's oil, and then there's Venezuelan government oil.
But he's been saying that he's been talking to teams and he is hopeful.
So am I.
Midfield teams, he said.
Teams.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right? Well, I know he's not talking about Selva then.
Pass them out.
Well, no, because you put him in a car and it ends up in the middle of a field.
Oh, I tell you what. If Mercedes decide to palm off a load of money to Force India to get Ocon out of that brand new shiny contract, put Pastor Maldonado in the car.
Yeah. See, like Pastor, I would say if I was a team boss. See, the problem with Pastor is him just keeping it on the track because he's a quick Formula One driver. So. Renault were wrong last year with the way they went about things. Obviously, it hasn't worked out with K-Mag. Palmer's there because of default.
Basically, fifth choice default.
Palmer's there, next season?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something tells me he's still paying for that seat, even though Renault don't need the money.
Oh, yes.
Don't need the money as much as the Enstone team needed it 12 months ago.
Don't forget, Renault have already turned around and said to get that team competitive again, they need to spend 800 million. So anything that can offset any of that cash, I'm sure they'll be quite happy to.
And they've already announced this week, Renault Formula One team, that they are going to increase their workforce and the capacity of the Enstone factory by 10%.
That's cool. That's good. It's good news.
Over the course of the next season.
Maybe that's because they're bringing Pasta back.
Pasta.
Yeah, all those extra staff are going to be making front wings.
Yeah, everyone's in fabrication.
Yeah.
I've got an excellent argument for Pastor Maldonado being in that Sauber team.
Because he's better than Ericsson.
Yeah, that's literally it.
Yeah.
We want to know how good Marcus Ericsson is.
Let's
stick Pastor in the car next to him and let's just see how good Marcus Ericsson actually is.
My good friend, Mr. Flood, I'll tell you how good Marcus Ericsson is. He's fucking shit.
But his friends don't know that.
Oh, they will next year.
This is the thing. If they put Pastor in the car next to him and Pastor completely blows him away...
Then
or drives round him,
or drives through him.
But if they put a better driver in the car than Ericsson, won't Ericsson's backers, who are effectively funding the entire team, just go, "Oh, there's no point in doing this"?
Yes, that's what's going to happen
and
anyway.
then that's going to kill the team.
That team will be up for sale again next year. Because someone has gone, Jolly Hockey Sticks, wouldn't it be a good idea to buy this Formula One team, Daddy? And
just in a more Swedish accent.
No, just like that.
All right, okay.
And someone's wrote the check, and I would imagine there is massive feelings of buyer's remorse right now.
Actually, the only Swedish person I know talks like that.
Does he?
She.
Oh, great.
Posh English.
Posh English.
Excellent.
Yeah, she's Swedish, but she's a lawyer.
No, nice.
And talks posh. Speaks better English than what I don't do.
So yeah,
you done learned it.
For me, I think the talking silly season towards the back of the grid, there's those 2 seats at Manor still to fill, and that one at Sauber. I think Pastor Maldonado or Felipe Nasr for the remaining Sauber seat.
I reckon as soon as the Williams seat is finalised, everything will just flop into place.
And I think at Manor, you will be Pascal Wehrlein and Jordan King.
I hope so.
I think Jordan King will get that drive.
That could be, that would work, I think, because then we get to see how good Jordan King actually is.
Yeah,
Because we don't really know, because he's never been in a car. I mean, not that the Manor's the best car, but he's never been in a car capable of being at the front and doing the best. So why not put him against Pascal Wehrlein, who was 18 months ago the darling of Mercedes?
Oh, his balls were gold.
Oh yeah. So with the difficult to work with Pascal Wehrlein, why not put the new kid in next to him again, who's not going to be going up against him with for a Mercedes seat in the future, and just see how he copes. How both of them cope. Jordan King, GP2. I don't think definitely wasn't a champion, was he? But he had a few decent results, and Pascal Wehrlein, DTM champion, overshadowed a little bit by Esteban Ocon. Could be better for him if Jordan King's maybe not so on his level.
Yeah, there's a possibility.
He doesn't bring much of a hair game.
Jordan King.
No. Good looking fella though, but not much in the way of like a hair game.
Backed by biscuits, by the way.
But then again, neither's Wehrlein. He doesn't bring much in the hair stakes.
Oh no, Wehrlein's hair's all right.
Is it?
Yeah, I think Wehrlein's hair is. It kind of looks like Lego hair, but like Lego quiff. I've never seen Pascal Wehrlein removing his helmet in the garage. You know what I mean? Like I want to see if his hair is that good all the time.
Yeah. Now, the Jordan King thing. I've just been looking at this.
Research on the fly.
Yes. Well, Racing Engineering, his GP2 team, that him and Norman Nato were the two drivers for last season.
Oh, hello, Norman. We know that Norman's listened a few times in the past.
Not mentioned Norman for a while. There is only one seat available for next season by the looks of things because they have signed Louis Delatraz.
Who?
Louis Delatraz.
Yes.
I don't know who he is.
He was a GP3 driver.
He has Renault money behind him.
Does Louis Delatraz not a GP3 driver last season or the year before?
Let me just bring this up. The name does ring a bell. Formula Renault 2.0, Formula Renault 3.5.
No GP3.
No GP3.
He's got a hair game.
Louis Delatraz
did one race for GP2 in Abu Dhabi. And the other seat at Racing Engineering is Gustav Malya. So Norman Nato is also not at Racing Engineering next year.
Oh, that's kind of disappointing. I like Norman Nato. We like Norman Nato.
Yeah.
So it could well be Jordan King is available.
I think he's very much available, and I think he will be in that manner.
Yeah.
For next year.
We've seen him drive one. It could happen. One GP2 driver that has moved up to the big boys, kind of, is Antonio Giovinazzi.
Yeah, interesting news coming out of Ferrari today, actually, in that they've signed their first Italian driver in a long time to the actual Formula One team. And it looks like Giovinazzi's going to be the third driver. But I mean, when you've got Vettel and Raikkonen,
yeah, and Ferrari haven't got the greatest history of pushing drivers through into Formula One. So right now, I've got more chance of getting a drive than him.
And well, yeah, I know what you mean. Giovinazzi's been sort of spoken about as a future Formula One driver, not necessarily champion or race winner or anything, but he's got the Ferrari backing and he's got obviously the Italian heritage. Yeah. So the dream is almost there for the thing. But let's not forget Luca Badoa raced in Ferrari badly.
Yeah.
I say raced, I mean he was in a Ferrari in Valencia a bit.
It seems to be a place old Formula One drivers go sometimes to just pick checks up.
Italian Formula One drivers.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Fisichella.
Yeah.
He didn't do badly out of him as soon as everyone realised he'd still got it in that one race before Force India.
Yeah, but he should have stayed before Force India.
As it turns out, yes.
He should have won that race.
Yes.
In Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I was there for that one.
damn, still never been to Belgium.
You're always there for that one.
It was fucking. I said lucky, you know. People must think I've got to nearly every fucking race, but
It's just that the ones that you go to are classics. So right, we'll start a fund. Send Lee away for 2017.
yeah, let's kickstart that motherfucker.
Can you just leave us your keys before you go, because like all the recording equipment's around here.
Leave you. I'll put milk in the fridge.
Don't think it'll probably last beyond about the 5th of January.
I'll get good milk and then UHT for the rest of the year.
Oh right, okay, that'll do.
What was I going to say?
I can't remember.
Oh yeah, that was the year that fucking Grosjean took out Button on the first corner and Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah.
As we've said before, me and Chris watched it in the C Terminal Departure Lounge on the way to a surprise wedding.
Yeah, we were.
I was sat there after the parade lap went round. Then all the cars came round. We go, no. Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But it's going to give Giovinazzi some decent enough experience, and you might end up seeing him in GP2 next year because he's allowed. Because of course it's only Pierre Gasly that's not allowed to race next year.
Yeah.
Have any teams confirmed Giovinazzi for next season? No. In fact, there's only 4 teams confirmed that they're actually racing next year so far.
Yeah, I don't think we can read too much into what GP2 says, because you get third drivers racing in other series. We spoke about Paul Di Resta before, being Williams' reserve driver. He was still actively competing in DTM, whilst he was the third driver, if you would, for Williams.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for a driver to not sit in the garage and just wait for one of the drivers to either fall ill or say, "Oh, you can have my car for this weekend's FP1."
Yeah.
They're often active in other racing series. So, Giovinazzi might get a couple of FP1s.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't expect, unless Raikkonen or Vettel fall ill, or
I don't even think he'll get any FP1s.
Ferrari
going to be in that much trouble next year.
You can't actually see either driver wanting to sit out.
No, but I think that car, they're going to need any development they can get because that team's a mess.
Well, yeah.
What I was going to say there was, which has just dawned on me when you said Pierre Gasly. I know this really should go in our 2017 preview thing, but I'm sure I'll say it again when we do that. I still can't get my head around why Gasly is left in the wilderness and Kvyat is getting a drive next year. That's not because I don't think Kvyat is a decent Formula 1 driver, and it's also not because I don't think he deserves to at least have another go.
Yeah.
But I don't understand, because Red Bull will never promote him to the main race team.
Again.
Ever. Even if he does really well and he beats Carlos Sainz, they won't do it because they will look silly.
Safe pair of hands, that's all he is.
Exactly, but they've got a safe pair of hands in Carlos Sainz. So that team has always been to get the Red Bull young blood into Formula 1.
Well, we spoke, didn't we, last week on last week's podcast about the surprise announcement that Toro Rosso started working on their 2017 car.
That's fine, but it's still not. That's not what the team's for. The team is to get people in.
It is, you're quite right, but and you'll never see Toro Rosso beating Red Bull.
No.
Under normal circumstances.
Yeah, under normal,
even
in a
if
race,
they have the car, they won't. Because
well, no, I mean, even in a race or two, you might see Sainz overtaking a Red Bull with a problem or something like that. You know what I mean? But generally speaking, Toro Rossos are going to be sat behind the Red Bulls.
Don't forget, generally speaking, even when the Toro Rosso can get in front of a Red Bull, when that Red Bull is behind it, they are told to get out of the way.
Yeah, French toast.
Yeah,
Franz Tost.
Mm-hmm.
He has said that he expects to have closer ties with the sister team in 2018, and that's going to start with a better relationship in 2017. Both using the same engine. I don't know whether they're allowed to share data.
No, they're not.
They're not allowed to share data, but
I don't believe that doesn't happen though.
No, yeah, exactly.
They're not sharing data. They might just leave it lying around.
Yeah, someone drops a thumbstick.
Yeah,
in the Christmas party, somebody accidentally left their laptop.
Yeah,
for Toro. When we went to the Toro Rosso thing to see how they're getting on, I left my laptop there and it's open and all
and
the
I
files
I forgot
there.
to change the password, and it's a standard corporate one who gives you wings.
Yeah, yeah.
Spygate within the Red Bull industry just ends up with going saying, "Oh, everyone makes mistakes. Don't worry about it, mate."
Yeah, have another Red Bull.
Yeah, the thing is though, if Red Bull actually had to fire someone for spying or getting information passed to them, that would involve real fire
and hoops.
whilst being thrown out of a plane.
Yeah, or a spaceship.
Yeah.
I just think, like, does anybody really believe that when they see Formula One drivers drinking out of Red Bull cups, do they really think like these fucking specimens, like absolute units of fucking physical fucking perfection, are actually drinking that sugary fucking deadly shit?
No, it's obviously water.
Red Bull Tributes Act.
Do you know, Joe, if you drink one can of Red Bull and then take a blood sample before and after, your blood is measurably thicker after one can of Red Bull.
Oh, I can believe that. Yeah,
That doesn't surprise me.
yeah. But the
Red Bull gives you strokes.
But yeah, going back to the whole Kvyat Gasly thing, if that Toro Rosso car is in a position where they've actually said they want to be over, they want to, every team says this at this time of year, but they want to overtake Force India and Williams next year. If they're able to do that with the stronger engine package that they're going to have, and we know their aero is pretty good, or at least it was in 2016. Then there's no reason why they won't be further up the grid. And if they're further up the grid, I think they'd rather have Sainz and Kvyat than Sainz and Gasly.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. As for if you're talking about sheer performance, but I don't believe that's what Toro Rosso's for. And I think they're taking a chance with somebody that they've already given a chance to. But they're taking they're not giving a chance to somebody that maybe deserves the chance more.
I mean, it could just be a sign of how much they don't rate Gasly at the minute.
I think it's more to do with the fact that Toro Rosso Red Bull haven't been particularly good at managing driver situations when they've had to sign people. When you think about it,
Done better than Sauber.
Yeah. Well, no, Sauber did exceptionally well. They needed 2 drivers and they just signed more. They knew when they got to Australia that they had enough drivers to put in the car.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They were preparing for the 3-car formula.
Yes. Nobody rang Sauber and said, "No, it's not happening now, manner of sound."
Yeah, that's it.
But I lost where I am now. I think I'm thinking about manner.
You're talking about Toro Rosso?
Yeah.
Come on, Lee.
I know what you sideswiped me.
I know.
I think Pierre Gasly should have it. Oh, sorry, that was what I was going to say. They've always put themselves on the back foot. Like even putting Kvyat in the main team in the first place was because Vettel left, and they felt the need to announce a driver for that seat that day, because and that wasn't the correct choice.
Jean-Eric Vergne should have been.
Yeah, but that was they felt that they had to react to what Vettel had just done.
Yeah.
Whereas Mercedes haven't done it. You look at the amount of time Mercedes are taking trying to sort their driver lineup out for next year now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mercedes are only in this position, remember, because Rosberg sprung a retirement on them a week after the end of the season when most of the top line drivers were already under contract.
So
for next
Red
year.
Bull had an even easier time of it because it was mid-season, wasn't it? That Vettel announced he was going to go to Ferrari.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but they couldn't be seen to not put one of their drivers in the seat.
Yeah, no, but I think if they'd have spent more time thinking about it, then you might have got a Jean-Eric Vergne.
Bless you, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah. But regardless of that, what I'm trying to say is I think they've signed Kvyat up too early this year for 2017, and I think if they'd have waited and realised that Gasly was going to win the GP2 championship, then I think they'd have brought him in instead. I think they pulled the trigger too early on Kvyat. And now, when you think of what they did to Kvyat from the big team to the junior team and how it affected him, that would be a PR nightmare if they sacked him now to put Gasly in the car.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
I tell you what, if he doesn't perform though, I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting dropped out of Toro Rosso next year.
Who's Danny Kvyat?
Yeah, if Sainz blows his fucking doors off, and he's not up there with him, I could see them pulling the trigger on Gasly then.
And putting Gasly in the car. It's possible. They've got previous with Alguersuari.
Yeah, well, the fucking back of the Toro Rosso garage is just like ex-Formula 1 driver, limbs scattered everywhere.
Yeah. It's they've been cruel in the past when they've had to be, which was unnecessary. Did they turf out Bourdais for Alguersuari mid-season? But then Bourdais was moaning quite a lot, wasn't he?
Do you know what Toro Rosso means in English?
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
No. It's a common misconception that it means race driver blender.
Race driver blended. Yeah, no, Toro Rosso, of course, being the Italian version of Red Bull, which is the old Minardi team.
Yeah.
But they just wanted to keep the Italian in there to appease the Minardi fans.
And you can't have two teams on the grid called Red Bull.
No. That'll just get confusing.
No, it's illegal, isn't it? You can't. They can't run two because they'd be essentially fielding 4 cars then.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's why there was the whole Lotus Renault argument when Tony Fernandez bought the rights to the team Lotus to be used in Formula 1, but then the Enstone team bought the rights to use Lotus F1 as and that was a whole
clusterfuck.
Yeah,
is what I would say.
Yeah, it was. So then. When Lotus sold their design of the old 7 car to Caterham for them to build it because they couldn't be asked anymore, Tony Fernandez went, I know, I'll call the team Caterham. I'll just buy Caterham instead. So he bought Caterham and then decided to call the team Caterham, and they were still shit. Yeah,
he had to change the colour of the car as well, the Lotus car.
Ever so slightly. The green was ever so slightly different.
No, when they were going to run with the black and
the following year they were.
There was going to be 2 black and gold teams called Lotus on the grid at one point.
And so they changed it back to the green and gold.
I can only imagine the conversation Bernie had when he walked down to the guys. Just hold on there.
What else have we got? Liberty Media, that I've just noticed a story about. They have reached an agreement with third-party investors to raise the remaining funds to buy out F1 completely.
He was on the phone every day, and I said, "Listen, if you want the money, it's there for you."
And the purchasers have agreed, as in purchasers being Liberty Media, they've agreed the structure for the payment as well, haven't they? I believe. So all the horrible details that you don't normally like to read about have been finalised, and it looks as though like the full takeover is imminent.
Because it has. They have got the required approval from the UK, whatever the Monopolies and Mergers Commission is called these days.
Yeah, well, it used to be the Monopolies Commission, then it was Monopolies and Mergers Commission, and now it's something else completely.
Yeah. Why is there only one Monopolies Commission?
Exactly, that's not fair, is it?
Why is there only one Monopolies Commission joke? Right, I got that from Clive Anderson.
It's a good job not Tony Fernandez. Jesus, it's a good job Vijay Mallya wasn't involved in this takeover bid, because when it was sorting out how to get the funds together, it would have been like used banknotes, no 50s.
Yeah,
non-consecutive serial numbers.
You've got to worry, haven't you, really, for Force India a little bit, because Vijay Mallya is still not allowed near any of his things, is he? Any of his businesses.
The fact that they had a competitive season is nothing short of magic.
No, absolutely. I mean, we said it before. Weigh it up when you look at budget, drivers, team, and performance. Force India, top of the pile.
Could you imagine, right? Imagine if that team got sold. Imagine Renault bought that team. And all of a sudden gave, we're going to buy Force India, we're going to call it Renault. Grand.
Oh, yeah.
And now you've got a works team budget
Yeah,
Imagine what they could do with that.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Apparently, Kingfisher House, which was the former headquarters of Kingfisher Airlines, Vijay Mallya's airline, that sponsored Force India in races where they weren't allowed to have alcohol sponsorship.
Yeah.
yeah.
So as distinct from Kingfisher Lager,
Yeah.
even though it's the same logo. For the third time today, nobody's bought it. The price had been cut by 15% again, and
It's just like a Christmas sale or something.
yeah,
Black Friday.
yeah.
That's racist.
They are also re-auctioning his Kingfisher Villa in Goa. Re-auctioning because nobody bought it last time. Next week, later on this week.
On
On the 22nd.
Crazy prices. Everything must go.
Yeah. Well, now that's racist.
Now, according to the Times of India, Vijay Mallya left India on the 3rd of March and is currently said to be in Britain.
That's amazing.
It's said to be in Britain.
Yeah, I am quoting from a Times of India article.
How can a man that looks like that be so aloof?
I know. Yeah, just look for the really terrible haircut.
Yeah, and if everyone's really quiet, you'll be able to hear his jewellery.
Hiding in the foreground.
But no, I mean, let's not forget he is the money behind Force India. So if he loses everything, perhaps not great news for Force India.
Oh, well, the thing is, they'll have their budget in place for this year. They've got money coming in, that they've got for next year from having an exceptionally good year this year. So if something was terrible was to happen to him, it wouldn't be a bad investment for somebody. If someone
For somebody else to come in.
if someone's willing to come in and buy fucking Salba,
Yeah.
Yeah, but somebody's going to have to come in and buy Force India at some point. Otherwise, that could be, unless he's managed to hide his ownership with it, because he's still listed as.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and under the current embargo on Vijay Mallya, he's not allowed to attend the offices of any of his businesses or be involved at all, which is why you don't see Vijay Mallya at races at the moment.
Yeah.
Skype is now his new best friend.
But yeah, somebody may have to come in and buy that team.
Do you know what?
Dear Eddie Jordan,
I was just going to say that I wouldn't be surprised if EJ had no thought about wanting to get back into F1. I wouldn't mind betting that he would buy it to save it and sell it to somebody.
From VJ to EJ. Mm-hmm. God, that sounds like a bad made-for-TV film.
It sounds like some sort of disease you get from doing willy things.
oh dear.
Oh, God.
Sorry, listeners.
On that note, we'll move on. Bit of a mailbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not very much. Because it's Christmas. Nobody's bothering to write emails to a Formula One podcast.
No, everyone's sending the letters to Father Christmas, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, everyone's sending letters to Father Christmas, getting all their bits and pieces ready and setting up their Christmas trees if they haven't had them up since November.
But we've had an email from
first.
Cody Coretti in Hillsborough, Oregon.
That's a good name. I like that.
What, Hillsborough?
No, his name.
Cody. What are you showing me?
I've just had a tweet from Nick Skelser in the last 5 minutes.
We'll do that in a second.
Okay, excellent.
But Cody says, a couple of weeks ago, you guys spoke about Danica Patrick and were miles off. She's been garbage for a whole time in NASCAR.
Do you think Cody gives all his mates movies for free?
Oh, that was atrocious. That was just so bad that it's beneath contempt. I now have nothing funny to say. You've sucked all the funny out.
Well, it's my job.
That's the second time I've heard that tonight.
I'm that unfunny. People fucking copy me.
We weren't recording. I can claim it. Yeah, she was garbage the whole time in NASCAR. 1 pole and 1/8, I believe. Think if Massa in a Williams scored like a 6th one time, then only 11th or worse since leaving Ferrari. That's Danica. So apparently she's not very good.
Isn't she like 50 now as well?
No, she's not that old.
No, but she is old. She's too old to come into Formula One now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think
She's got 37.
Oh, I don't know if she's that old even. She's 30s though, but even still, she gets all the attention, and I don't mean this in a terrible way.
34.
For 34, she gets all the attention, and I don't mean this in a terrible way, because she's a relatively successful female racer that made it to the top level in what she was aiming for.
Yeah, in fucking hick racing.
Mm.
Yeah, the Formula Redneck.
Formula Redneck.
Yeah, she was vaguely successful in Formula Ford about 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
And she had the backing from GoDaddy, which kind of helped.
It's the worst name for any company ever.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound like somewhere where you'd buy a domain name from.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't sound like something you Google search.
No, you're right. Yeah, Control N, private browsing.
Fuck off, there's nothing private if it's got Google involved in it.
But yeah, I don't honestly think she would be an option for any Formula One teams looking at a record, unless they were desperate to get publicity.
Yeah, well, I mean that's
Dear Vijay Mallya.
I think if the window was open for her, it would have been open like 4 years ago. You know when?
Well, there was talk when USF1 was going to be a thing,
Yeah.
the team that Pete Windsor was going to start up.
Yeah,
Well,
even
He did start it, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
even what's it called? Get a Haas this year. Yeah, again, if there was a time where it was going to happen, it would have been the first year for Haas.
I think so.
Yeah, not only get an American in, but get an American that's going to get
People
the publicity.
know. Yeah, I must say, like when I was in Florida, the amount of pictures of her with tag watches on was fucking incredible. You know, just everywhere.
Yeah, just that sponsorship thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen, oddly enough.
Yeah, when I went through Geneva Airport, lots of pictures of some famous people wearing all of the watches, because,
Yeah.
of course, Switzerland and the watches.
Well, but airports and the watches, I've never really got that.
Yeah, but Sebastian Vettel...
Well, it's duty free, isn't it? You buy them without paying tax on them.
Yeah, Sebastian Vettel was the Ferrari man wearing the watch. I think that was a tag, actually. Endorsed Ferrari
It was
watch.
Jackie Stewart that started all that, wasn't it?
Was it
Yeah.
Formula One on watches?
And well, what Jackie Stewart did was
It was also Jackie Stewart who started safety.
but this is more.
Well, he
ingenious
obviously
than
knew
safety.
when to say things were safe.
When he got the watch sponsorship, and he was the first Formula One driver, I believe, to get a watch sponsorship. He started getting his shirts specially made, and he'd have his right sleeve 2 centimeters or 2 inches shorter than his left, so his watch was permanently on display.
Very clever, Mrs. Stewart.
Very Scottish.
I thought you were going to say that he had like special logos embroidered.
No.
So that they were always on TV.
Yeah, no, he had his shirts made shorter on the right arm, so his watch was never covered.
You'd just have them both made shorter, wouldn't you, to match?
Yeah.
And wear 2 watches.
Double the money. Rolling it in.
This one's Greenwich Mean Time. This one's Scottish time. But
But
My Scottish watch
but
always
now-
says it's whiskey time.
but nowadays he just has to have his clothes specially made because nobody else could dress anyone like a walking shortbread tin.
Action Man. Yeah, the Action Man Scottish edition is where he gets his pants from.
I admire Jackie Stewart quite a lot for all he stood up for in Formula One, and all he's he achieved quite a bit with the Stewart Formula One team, which he didn't really have the right to do almost, but he upset the apple cart with that, and also just the way that modern Formula One is run is often attributed a lot to Bernie Ecclestone, which is correct.
Yeah.
But the aspect of it being sensible, you have to look at Jackie Stewart.
Bernie Ecclestone and Max Mosley couldn't have done what they did without a driver with the gravitas of Jackie Stewart. Yeah. Did you ever see that documentary with him in his house? He was in his back garden.
Yeah, and he talks about the past of Formula One being rose tinted spectacles. And
Yeah, but the benches. Did you see the benches?
Yeah.
And he's got a bench for every every racer that died through his career.
yeah,
That he sort of died next to him, sort of thing.
yeah. Well, his teammate Francois Sever.
Yeah, right.
was-
That's a trophy. That. So health and safety genius or fucking serial killer.
I think it's a nice thing for him to do. I
Yeah,
think.
it reminds him of his glory days.
Yeah, but Francois Sever was his teammate at Tyrrell, I think, and he was going to be, he was the talked up Formula One driver of, he's a bit of a playboy sort of character, but he's fast. He's going to win races, and he's going to be a world championship contender. And I think he won one race, and the following race in the US Grand Prix, he was killed during practice.
Terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, this is the thing I think sometimes that not our fans. When I say fans, I mean like Formula One fans in general. They really need to think about when they start fucking moaning about safety precautions.
Because you don't want that. We don't want an Imola 94. You don't want a Suzuka 2014.
I watched fucking UFC. The first time I've ever watched a full UFC thing, and the only reason I watched it was because I wanted to see how CM Punk did when he had his fight, and
that wasn't a fight.
No, but from watching the whole thing, I didn't enjoy watching it because I don't want to sound like some sort of fucking pansy, but I just didn't enjoy watching that level of violence, and the last thing I want is for Formula One to turn into something like that.
You didn't put your phone on silent, did you, Chris?
I did. It was just my. It's decided to time out after an hour for some reason.
Oh, you had an idea.
I just had a wonderful idea.
Pass it off as an idea.
Yeah, I just had a wonderful idea.
But going back to what you're saying, Lee, now I can agree with that because it's too real.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I don't mind watching a bit of boxing. Obviously, love watching wrestling, but I don't want to watch people that go into competition with each other and genuinely don't care if each other dies. Yeah, I know. I don't want that. I want to see some sporting, and like they can, like these fighters can hug and sort of say all this shit after each other. But when they're fighting each other, if that other guy was to die, I genuinely don't think they would care at that moment in time. And it's
not when they're that pumped up. No,
not something I'm behind.
No. Chris, you said we had a tweet.
Yes, if you check the Three Legs Four Wheel Twitter, I believe we've been mentioned.
Yes.
And it's an interesting thing for 2017 going forward. We've briefly touched on it before about McLaren, and Nick wants us to discuss basically the red and white of McLaren, or returning to red and white. And is it possible?
McLaren's red and white at the minute because half the team have been cold.
Yes. I mean, they're red and black, aren't they, at the moment? They were silver for ages, and it was there was the Honda thing came in, and it was just like, well, why are you still silver? That's a Mercedes
isn't it like
colour.
Aggressive graphite or something.
It was something like that.
I don't know, you're the decorator, you know the Daft Paint colours.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to know Daft Paint colours, just go to B&Q and look at the paint charts. There's one called Humble Lady.
Humble Lady. Wow.
But the thing is that when McLaren switched to Honda engines, they were quite adamant that, oh no, silver's not the colour that we use with Mercedes. It was just that, the season after we got Mercedes in, our Marlboro sponsorship ended and we ended up going with West, and we've just been silver ever since then. It's a McLaren colour. Well, is it really? Because Mercedes were always the silver arrows, and even way back in the 50s when like Fangio was driving Mercedes, and you've got to look at that kind of history where you think McLaren were the de facto Mercedes team until Mercedes bought the Brawn GP team. Mm-hmm. And then Ron Dennis was quite big-headed and a little bit like, no, we're not changing. It's this, whatever it was called, aggressive graphite or something stupid like that. And then after what was it, like 4 or 5 races of last year, they were like, oh yeah, we're changing the livery because of...
Because you want to.
Yeah, because we think too many cars on the grid are using silver now, because Force India had a very similar paint job as well. So they just decided to get all black with the rocket red McLaren sort of swoosh.
In
a
doesn't
couple
look anything
of places.
like the old Minardi at all now.
No, nothing at all. No, it doesn't look anything like it at all. Doesn't even look like a reversed Super Aguri car.
To be fair, it looked very much like a Minardi at certain times this year and last year.
Performance-wise, yeah. But the the thing that we touched on in previous podcasts as to whether or not they could return to using more of a white livery would be their tie-up with new fuel sponsors, Castrol and BP, who Mobil 1 have been with McLaren for years and years. Now Mobil 1 are going to switch their allegiances to Red Bull.
Mm-hmm.
So McLaren have taken Castrol on board. Whether they use BP or Castrol is undecided. I think they probably use Castrol because it's more of a racing sort of thing. But
I think they'll use Castrol because, I don't know.
Those of us with mobile devices available, if you Google Castrol BMW racing car, and have a look at the livery that was put on that. My phone is just auto-corrected to casserole, which is not what I'm trying to find.
When Bruce McLaren first started racing with his own team,
They were bright orange.
no, they were white with a green stripe.
Ah, that's interesting. I've always thought they used that McLaren orange colour, which became synonymous with Bruce McLaren's race-winning car.
No, that didn't come in until 1968. And it was 1966 that started, although that might have had something to do with the Grand Prix movie.
Yeah.
Because Bruce McLaren was doubling for the lead character in the film. And his car was white with a green stripe.
Right, okay.
So he probably got paid to do that.
Right, most of the images that have come up that I've looked at have been... That's the one I was thinking of. Something like that Lee's got in his hand there. Most of the images that come up use the Castrol Edge racing stripe, which is blue. No, we don't. You might see that. It's possible, I guess. But this is what I'm thinking. And for the benefit of the listeners, I'm showing them like a BMW with white, red, and green.
We'll stick these in the description.
Yes, in the description of the podcast, and maybe even pictures on the Facebook page.
Yeah. We could fix it for everybody and just put the picture of a Castrol BMW as the picture for the podcast. That'd fix it, wouldn't
No, because we've got to use pictures that we've got the official rights to.
Aha. So yeah,
we don't have a license for that, but we've got a license for.
So yeah,
I will see if I can find an old McLaren picture from McLaren because we've got license to use McLaren, proper McLaren.
Well,
photos.
there we go. So I think McLaren's livery will be dependent on sponsors. Now, Zach Brown has already said it's very late in the day to try and find a sponsor for 2017, but that was his prime objective.
Yeah.
Now, it could just be that, fate called upon him at the time when he's looking for a sponsor. Mobil 1 pull out, and he managed to sign this deal with Castrol.
So is that signed, the Castrol deal?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. Is it? Well, it's BP, but it's more likely to be Castrol name on the car.
Well,
hang on a second, Castrol. If you're coming on board, how do you feel about being like a title sponsor in Formula One, like a main sponsor for the team? Castrol, McLaren, Honda, and all parties getting together and thinking, well, that might be a good idea. You could very well see a white, red, and green.
I would be surprised if we don't, really, because it ties in with everything so neatly. Because Honda's racing colours are white and red.
Honda's racing colours were white and red.
But it's that Honda's racing colours are white is generally.
Yeah, but now apparently, according to people involved with Honda's Formula One thing, Honda is just white, and it's just got white and black shirts.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Nobody asked you about the shirt.
Yeah,
we were asking you about the car.
Yeah, let's fucking tell it to the rest of the fucking Honda racing teams then. But the thing I was going to say with that was I noticed today on the McLaren email that I got is there's obviously there's a load of Jensen stuff they want to get rid of and a load of 2016 stuff they want to get rid of, but there's been an 80% sale on McLaren merchandise.
Yeah,
that is a big fucking sale on Formula One gear. When you consider like a jacket is like fucking £300.
Yeah.
So the only reason I can think of that is they are
old sponsors.
Yeah, but old sponsors. But just there must be. There's always stuff from last year at races
Yeah.
When you get the merch stands, there's always this year's kit and then last year's kit.
Last year's kit's a little bit
cheaper.
expensive.
Yeah. I think if it isn't something that the whole team is being rebranded with something, I would be surprised if they had the cost at 80%.
Yeah. So a rebrand is on the cards.
Possibly. One thing I have noticed is that McLaren are now providing all the media stuff in English and Spanish. They weren't doing that earlier on this season. If that isn't a commitment to Alonso staying next year, I don't know what is.
Alonso said today that McLaren is the best team he has ever raced with.
That's a lie.
Yes, it is.
Because he won 2 world championships with Renault.
Yeah, unless he still forgot that from when they electrocuted him.
That's
Shocking.
yes.
Sorry, somebody always has to say that every time.
No, you have to say it.
Yeah, all right. It's tradition or an old charter or something. Do we have anything else? No, I think
Do your little dance if you want.
No, that's quite all right. I think that's probably about everything that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it's the week before Christmas. The factories are all on shutdown.
Yeah. I mean, Mercedes obviously have made the announcement to say that they're not making an announcement.
I think we'll be on shutdown as well, won't we?
We will. We're not going to be here next week because we'd like Christmas off. We'll be back first week in January, where we will have Dan back with us.
Yep.
So we can do our sort of roundup of 2016.
I think, yeah.
Keep the award suggestions and nominations coming in.
Yep, we've had quite a few good ones actually.
Yep. So we'll be putting those together for our 2016 roundup show.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a fantastic Christmas and a great New Year.
Yeah. Happy Christmas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy everything.
Got any comments or anything? Can get in touch.
Yep. We'll still be around on Facebook and Twitter all over the festive season.
Oh yeah, I get well bored of my family after 15 minutes. So even Christmas Day, come and say hello to me.
Yeah, all my family live.
And if you get Formula One related gifts, let us know about it.
Oh
yeah.
Pictures.
Anyone getting a Formula One related present, let us know. Put it on the Facebook page. Yeah. We'll share the pictures amongst all the listeners and all the fans and subscribers.
And if you are driving home for Christmas, as in Chris rearing it all the way home,
when you Chris rear.
Yeah, here's one.
Never Keith Richards.
Because I've seen this before with people when they do. Yeah, send us a picture of you in your car.
We'll put them on Facebook.
Yeah, and some people forget to stop fucking driving.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
If you could make sure you're not driving, that'd be sound.
Yeah. Mate, do it safely.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to hear that. You missed Christmas because
Because apparently we nearly funnied. We nearly funnied one of our listeners to death, didn't we?
The Rosbergian national anthem.
Yeah, earlier in the season as well. I think we almost killed Michael Cohen, didn't we? I think it was Michael Cohen that emailed us to say I nearly crashed my truck when I was listening to you. Yeah.
So
careful.
Drive carefully. Never podcast and drive and laugh and things.
Do what you want.
Yeah.
Just do it safely.
Yeah. So,
Lee just gave me that look. He was like, I don't think I can argue with that.
You were going to make some joke involving a safety word?
No.
Oh, makes a change.
No, I'm done.
Just want to thank everyone for listening to us this year. Thanks to all the new listeners that have joined us.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
We've got some big plans for next year.
Oh, have we ever? There's meetings coming up. They're so big plans, we've got meetings with people.
Yeah, actual meetings. What's going on there?
Yeah.
I'm obviously not kept in the loop.
No.
I won't be having a drink before the meetings, but I'll be having a drink afterwards. And we all might.
Excellent. That would be nice.
I've been as cryptic as I can be for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know.
Yeah, it's more of an in-joke.
Exactly.
Run away! Yeah. Anyway, I'd like to say thanks very much to everyone as well. It's really nice having all the feedback and
and it's great to hear from you all as well.
You make what I do worthwhile.
Oh, he's playing Vegas next year. But yeah, email us on 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, tweet us at 3legs4wheels, and
I'm a total shunt.
And we've got the Patreon page as well with the extra show that we record for everyone that pledges to Patreon for as little as $1 a month.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or 85p if you're British. 87p last week.
87 pence.
87 pence.
If you miss me, because of the way the days are going with Christmas and stuff like that, Banter Club probably isn't stopping over the Christmas period. So if you want a podcast and just want to hear my voice, then go
jump
check
on
out
that.
Banter Club Wrestling Podcast.
And if you are going to miss us next week, as Paul said, we're around Facebook,
We're around
Twitter.
Facebook, Twitter, email. I'll be doing a 3 legs fourth down because all the NFL games are on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing an early one of those. And then the rest of the NFL games I'll be watching with a hangover on New Year's Day.
I'll be sleeping a lot over Christmas. I think I've earned it this year.
So that's about it for 2016.
334 days without sleep
Also,
so far.
guess what today, as in today being Monday, guess what this marks? 100 days till Melbourne.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
The countdown is on.
That sounds more than it would have been if you'd said weeks, and I don't like it.
Something weeks 10.
So
wait a second. Hang on. 10, 13.
No, it's best for,
14.
at this point of the season now. It's best.
14 weeks.
Yeah.
It's best if we count till testing.
Car
Car launch is better, but testing.
Car launches are in January.
Yeah.
Late January, early February.
Saying that more and more are happening at the circuit now, aren't they?
During testing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we should know what most of the cars look like by early February. But this is all next year stuff. There's so much to look forward to.
I know, and we get to do all our procrastinating about what's going to happen, and we get to be wrong about all of it again.
And our friend virtual statman Sean Kelly has promised that he will come back on and talk to us about testing at some point.
That'll be fucking fascinating. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. That's going to be a great one. So there's a lot to look forward to next year.
Just me. Just look forward to me.
The return of Dan.
The return of Dan.
Yeah, but he's,
No.
racist.
No, stop that. But no, seriously, just once more, just thanks very much for listening this year, and keep on listening. We'll still be doing this next year.
And just especially for you, Dan, I hope you have a white Christmas.
And have a wonderful Christmas and a great New Year, and we'll be back very shortly in 2017.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.